Thank you for tuning in to the Peoplz and Dragons. If you enjoy the content we provide, then subscribe, like, and maybe join in on the action at www.pndrpg.com. Haven City. An ugly city. Episode 8. Tainted and Broken. A large command ship hovers over the Solitude District. We see NOX operatives jetpacking to and from the city, collecting plague samples and bringing it back on board into the NOX labs. We cut to a blonde, muscular NOX operative walking through a maze of corridors with two other undeployed soldiers having a deep and passionate conversation about the mass genocide of gamma types all shapes and sizes. Jason Hunter, the top of his unit, and an incredible soldier of perfect health and unaltered DNA, turns to his shipmates with eyes of burning passion and begins to speak loud and sharp, his voice echoing through the halls. Fellow NOX operatives gather and rally around his inspiring words and rhetoric. His viewpoints challenge you to consider a world without G-Type 1s running amok. A painful death in seconds. That's right, NOX Corp believes this is an ideal future and are very close to making it a reality. Jason was their top soldier, a paragon, and among a slew of rivaling talent. He knew as much as any common Havener. The concept of artificial planets, intergalactic lich, and cycles were unfathomable, and all he saw were mutants heralding in the apocalypse. He continues on about how the human gene pool is tainted, and as a result, Haven City is broken. And everyone agrees. There is true unity within NOX Corp, one common goal and enemy. Jason is suddenly called to the commander's bridge. The NOX commander shows Jason the progress of the silent pathogen that they released throughout the globe weeks ago. A generational virus that has already begun to dwindle the severity of the mutation and awakening G-types by almost more than 70%, making them easier to kill. Jason scrolls through hundreds of identified G-types registered into all the hospitals in Haven. His commander informs him of intel involving the grand laboratory built in Nebu, where our spies report that their chief engineer and renowned geneticist, Ninja Bello, had discovered a pathogen that could cripple any and all G-types. It was the missing puzzle piece to the NOX's incredible weapon they had in the works. Jason looks up at the hologram of pictures of her facility that were taken as soon as hours ago. The commander light loads his orders into Jason's retinal receiver, causing his eye to flicker. He tells Jason that this is the biggest mission he's ever been on, and to meditate on his orders. Sir, yes sir. Before Jason leaves, his commander tells him that he also left a gift in his quarters. Jason salutes him. We see Jason sitting on his bed within his room. He finishes up a conversation with his mother, and she wishes him well. Kill those godforsaken mutants. For us. This wasn't a bizarre philosophy. More than 30% of Haveners despised G-types. It seemed like every day a new scientific theory surrounding gamma mutation was brought up, and this just made people hate them even more. A lot of false information that got people killed. He then closes his left eye and re-reviews his orders. Obtain the virus and kill all who oppose. That should be easy. Jason glances over to his wall and admires his Neo suit fitted within its case. His ultimate weapon and bane to the existence of all gamma types, even Anarchy 12. Beside it, the gift from his commander. Jason gets up and opens it, and inside reads a note. Test new virus before neutralizing, it says. He then pulls out a vial. It was a new NOX virus finally perfected after 47 years. The honors were all on him, it seems. Jason's smile fades, and he looks focused. He marks Ninja Bello's last known coordinates, then puts his helmet on his head. Tempus power walks through a semi-crowded marketplace in a distant Nebu village far on the outskirts from the capital city. Garbed in a Nebu cloak, Tempus keeps his head down as he disappears into a rebel's home being guarded by guerrilla Gate agents. Tempus has spent the past several days organizing the resurrection of Gate with the help of agents and Vector's Nebu allies. With the assistance and support from Haven City's new resistance Havenguard, they have covered tremendous ground, network and communications-wise. After the recent disconnect with Marshall and Looper, one of Havenguard's tech specialists named Circuit has completely cleared the airways for them and is responsible for contact with Tempus across the globe. Anarchy's control left all forms of communication tainted and broken until Circuit got involved. We cut to Havenguard's base within the Western Ward mines. A transmission from Tempus comes in. Jacob answers and Tempus informs him and Jared of Amanda V's takeover and the killing of Makai. Jacob asks if his men arrived with a special package, and Tempus tells him that he isn't sure as he was not in the capital but healing among the Valkyrie in the mountains, and even if they did arrive, they likely would have been jailed with everyone else. Tempus warns them that Amanda V has support from some powerful and mysterious people, and that he, Ninja, and his daughter have taken sacred refuge in a secluded village. Jacob thinks to himself, where could they be? And do they still have the fist? Tempus asks Jared if his request has been completed, and if so, how fast is it? Jared smiles and twirls one of his fancy wrenches. He replies yes, and will deliver it to you. Jacob promises Tempus that they will come and get him out of there. Tempus looks exhausted, but determined. The transmission ends, and he closes his eyes. He then heads over to a nearby room where his ally from the beginning, Chronicle, watches over his daughter Amelia, who we see doing her homework, very complex physics problems, while being tutored by Chronicle, who is insanely intelligent. Tempus holds up the tapestry covering the doorway silently and peers inside, witnessing his daughter's smile in peace, without both of them noticing. Tempus had his own physics problem to solve tonight. He leaves, and Chronicle turns toward the doorway and back to Amelia. Tempus sits in his room around candles for another intense night of meditating on all he has learned with time allocation and absorption. Tempus was close to a breakthrough, and it was now or never. We cut to Jeremiah's handsome face, lit up by the orange sun setting behind dozens of beautiful floating buildings in Nebu. So many sights to see. Below him we see an entire civilization walking like lifeless husks, all squandering their hard-earned money within countless Atlas malls and casinos. Business was booming for Atlas, and the Nebu people were so hypnotized by their love for him and the things that he brought them that they didn't know they were being sapped by the Atlas Basilisk above, which was pretty much imaginary at this point. It was an intense euphoric urge to spend money on luxurious items in Atlas. We also see Nebu warriors who fought and rebelled in protest to Makai's execution and Vector's imprisonment now become demoralized, and weakened slaves building monuments of a mysterious entity. Jeremiah stares at the half-built monument and even wonders to himself, what is being built? The futurist wasn't open about certain topics. Much was left up to his imagination. A common theme with the futurist. Amanda V points to the east and tells Jeremiah to look. Jeremiah turns and sees an entire clan who opposed Amanda V and Atlas during their takeover and have spilled blood of her people during their rise to power. They're all standing and tied to an old monument with bombs strapped across their chests. This should set the tone for the Hakaku, Amanda V hisses, a derogatory term used for Nebu traitors to their own kind. Amanda V calls for the detonation. The monument is then blown up from its base, leaving no remnants of the Nebu. Jeremiah scrunches his face. It was a bit much, he thought. His phone suddenly rings, and he turns serious when he sees who's calling. He asks for everyone to leave the room. His guards escort them all out. We hear a voice on the other end giving Jeremiah further instructions. Then Jeremiah gives them a yes, then nods before ending the call. It was J.O.'s mysterious ally, the Futurist. Jeremiah was a businessman, and so he and the Futurist had a deal. The deal was just that Jeremiah asks no questions, and in return he gets everything he dreams of. It seems the Futurist is now asking for Serenity, the young Nebu diplomat. Jeremiah considers this as leverage and thinks about it a bit longer before deciding to give her over without knowing her true value. Suddenly, droplets of blood drips down from the ceiling and splashes onto J.O.'s cufflinks. Crawling from the ceiling and dropping down from it, we see Selena Wren rising before him while holding the arm of a Nebu victim freshly removed. She looks and glares into J.O. with her big blue eyes. Then out of the window, "You and the Queen have created quite the landscape here." Jeremiah agrees and points out that the purple sky thing was totally out of his control, but it seemed to work out, referencing his own tailor-made suit that was also the same color purple. Selena turns slowly to J.O. and offers him some new jewelry to go with his exquisite taste of clothing. Several amulets and bracelets materialize on her extended blood-soaked arm. Jeremiah passes, but he tells Selena to give Amanda V one, since she's the sole leader. He'll cover the cost. Jeremiah then looks up into the sky at the tainted basilisk, broken, free from his desire. He begins to wonder what could his other desires manifest as. So according to your charts, you recently had a baby. Is that correct, Nom? The Hope therapist waits for a response. Where is your child, Nom? Nom Ke Ai was found flayed open in the streets of the Galgan district. She was glowing with radiation and laying in a puddle of gold. She was committed into the Red Saint District Sanitarium and placed into the deepest sector that was managed by Hope. A sector for those with issues that were unusual, paranormal, and or spiritual in nature. It housed many tormented subjects, and Nom was one of them, broken and unresponsive. Night terrors that would leave the interior of her room corroded from the radiation triggered from her emotions. The Hope scientists found something incredibly special about the condition her brain was in, though, and so they kept her around to study. Nom Ke Ai, the therapist leans in closer. He can sense emotion stirring within her. Where is your child? Nom's empty gold and lavender eyes peer up at him. I'm fine now. Surprised to hear Nom speak for the first time since her arrival, he plays it cool and tries to get more answers out of her involving her past and her wounds. But he gets nothing. That night we see Nom sitting before a spread of cards. She plots her destiny using her sacred tarot. She turns over a War of Widow and a Jaragumo, which are both then eclipsed by the Bridge of Pain. In one reading she had accomplished what the therapists have attempted in hundreds of sessions. Through her sacred discipline and Deftude's teachings, she has removed, replaced, and shifted various aspects of her psyche, rebuilding and transmogrifying her mental, but not to perfection. Well, perfection was subjective. Nom was broken. To her, leaving shards of herself displaced from the mural that was her mind was just how she wanted it and needed it to be. The scientists figured this much out. They watched her day in and day out use those cards. They plot on her and progress her slowly, buying them time to learn her secret. Getting her to talk was just the beginning. Nom is approached by two other patients, the Crow brothers, siblings of Solian descent, said to be cursed with a wicked bloodline only made worse when mutated by gamma radiation. Perfect tourists for this resort. Believe it or not, Aerald and Alex were kind, partly due to the sedatives and various happy drugs they were pumped with. Over time, Nom began to find peace in their somberness and lack of emotion. Aerald was the younger of the two. He kept his head and entire arm cloaked because it was covered in draconic scales, a minor side effect of his complications. His older brother, Alex, seemed to be a bit more talkative and usually spoke on behalf of his brother. Alex and Aerald both had a head full of demons. The scientists say that at a young age, a demon had fled Alex's head and into Aerald's when they were younger. Over time, Nom becomes friends with these brothers. Aerald and Alex grew fond of her because she really helped them make sense of their split personalities through tarot cards. Until one day, during a reading, Nom Ke Ai ends up flipping a switch in Alex's head, which ended up disturbing something within. Something the medicine couldn't suppress any longer. Alex went from being soothed and calm to determined and borderline sinister, and Aerald was all too familiar with this phenomena. Alex tells Nom that there is a life to live outside of this place. Nom agrees, and she feels that Aerald and Alex are trustworthy enough to show her escape plans to. They can both tell that Nom Ke Ai put a significant amount of time into these plans. However, Aerald thinks to himself if it's even best that he and his brother leave the confines of the sanatorium. It was more for the safety of everyone on the outside. And Aerald knew that Alex knew this as well. Alex is the one who committed them. Aerald murmurs to Nom and Alex, "We can't. Our souls are tainted." Nom, emotionless, gazes at him. Alex tells Aerald he's coming whether he wants to or not because he isn't going to leave him here alone. Nom's plans didn't involve killing anyone and involved some stuff, but nothing they couldn't handle. Tonight would be the night. We cut to Alex and Aerald running through the long corridors of the Red Saint Sanatorium led by Nom Ke Ai. A large Hope Guard comes rushing in between them and their destination with a high-voltage stun baton. Nom leaps into him with a knee, smashing into his neck while disarming him and then slamming him onto his own stun baton, neutralizing him. The alarms ring, alerting others to their location, and several Hope Guards come stampeding down the hallway. But luckily, they don't encounter Nom and her party. Tonight's Nom's cards led her down a path of peace. They all reached the rooftop of the facility. The plan was to head north and leap off of the roof into the river toward the city. But approaching from the side, a Hope dropship deploys a squad of Hope troopers with their guns drawn and spotlights placed on them, stopping them in their tracks. The head Hope scientist approaches and begs for them not to leave this way. He assures them that there will be a time, but they know as well as he knows that they are not fit for that now. The scientist gets closer and places his hand on Aerald's shoulder. "Come on, you three. We will help you. Love will purify your souls. And love is here." Love? His words fall dead on Nom's ears and heart. And Aerald begins to laugh hysterically. Suddenly, Aerald grabs the scientist by the face, holding it tight to the point of breaking the teeth in his mouth. Alex yells, "Aerald, no, they'll shoot!" Aerald turns to Alex and Nom with a large demonic grimace on his half-scaled face. His irises are blood red with pupils like black holes. All of the Hope agents begin to fire at Aerald, ripping him up with hot silver. Alex grabs Nom by the wrists and begins running toward the ledge, leaving his brother behind. He and Nom leap off and into the river just as the entire roof combusts into a raging pillar of fire, incinerating everything within Aerald's presence. Aerald stands there naked within the flames as everyone melts around them within their armor. Aerald looks at his hands and murmurs, "I don't deserve to live," when suddenly a deeper voice begins to bellow from within him, forcing his mouth to speak the words.
"Then kindly surrender the rest of your pitiful existence to me, boy."
Aerald screams and begins to attack himself, then proceeds to run and leap off of the burning roof. We cut to Nom pulling an unconscious Alex onto the shore as she looks back at the burning sanatorium from afar, lighting up the sky. Everything is okay now.